Sanjay Rai, he is one of the most vocal person on COVID in India with related to policies, vaccination, and a lot of other issues he has been so vocally speaking of. May I request Mr. Atul Sharma to join on the stage, Dr. Sanjay Rai to join on stage. We have with us joining online Dr. Professor Amitav Banerjee, Professor and Head Department of Community Medicine, Dr. D.Y. Patil Medical College. Dr. Banerjee will join from Pune, he could not fly in. And most importantly, to chair the session, we have Dr. Chandrakant Pandav, the Padma Shri Dr. Pandav, former HOD of Community Medicine AIMS, and called the Iodine Man of India. So with this, I hand it over to Atul Sharma ji. Sir, we have a hard stop at 10:30 or so. Sorry, 11:30. Yeah, 11. Thank you, sir. Oh, wait. Yeah, if you can sit in the front of the podium. Dr. Panda को इधर लाना पड़ेगा. सर को इधर, आपको इधर आना पड़ेगा. And that in front of the photograph. बीच में तो खाली रहेगा. ऑनलाइन आ गए सर, आ गए. आप थोड़ा हाँ सर खाली मत, हाँ उधर
So thank you very much, Swadeep. And I have a pleasure of having the esteemed panel for an important discussion, which is like immediately after, like we have been sailing through. I will not say we have overcome the COVID pandemic. I think the COVID is still on, and we still see bit of a like surge of COVID. So just I think say a couple of years back, say sometime in November 19, we didn't know ABC about COVID. We learned that there's something like which is going to show up and will show up as pandemic. I think anyone living on this planet literally had not experienced any kind of pandemic in their lifetime. Now, when we experienced this, we had like two sides of stories. The sad side of stories is that we lost many doctors, we lost many HCPs, we lost many loved ones from our family, from our neighborhood, or maybe from our friends. And on the other side, like we have come out very well worldwide, and then we made a tremendous learning in a very short period to something like which was an unknown threat to us, unknown threat to the population. Now, so we will take like the both side of that story. So what exactly has gone wrong, and then what exactly we have achieved there, and what is the learning curve we had during this in a country like India, which operates under resource limited setting. So the previous session has touched upon that what kind of like challenges we have, what kind of like ambitions we have. And despite of that, I think India has very promising success stories. So what did we learn during this period? So with this, like I'll request Dr. Amitav that, sir, what is your opinion in terms whether the COVID is out or the COVID is still on? We still see that there are new, say, incidences, say something like 1,000+ cases per day. Is it coming back, or is it under control? I know like there is no panic amongst the people, but whether this feeling of not feeling panic about it is okay or it is not okay. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Whether we are still in the pandemic or out of it, I think as on today or even after the second wave, This pandemic has behaved as all pandemics behave in a natural phenomena. That is, the subsequent variants become milder and milder and milder. So that is what we are seeing today. The Omicron subvariants are still milder than the Omicron initial variants, and it has become, it has got to the status of a common cold. And by definition, common cold has to be common and it has to be widespread and it will not cause any symptoms, severe symptoms of hospitalization or death. It is exactly what is happening. And whatever little population who have not faced the natural infection, they will also get this natural infection with a very, very milder variant, and the herd immunity will again go up. And also those whose immunity is waning due to previous infection or the vaccine, we know the immunity wanes after few months. This phenomena will act as nature's booster. So as on today, we are very comfortably placed, and we can very well say that we need not worry today. Thank you.
So I'm just trying to like summarize. You said like the large population have received the vaccination. There is a natural exposure. So there is a hybrid and powerful immunity against COVID. The virus is constantly mutating, therefore like constantly becoming weaker and weaker. So in future, like what do you see, or as of now, there is a subsequent need for the booster dose, or the herd immunity or a hybrid immunity will be more than sufficient to live normally?
Certainly, we will not require the booster because this subvariant.
Kavita, before you speak, please speak in your familiar language, cricket language and chess language. हमको बाकी समझ में नहीं आता. बाकी भाषा हमको समझ में नहीं आता.
नहीं, चेस का तो हम आप दो ही समझ पाएंगे, आम आदमी नहीं समझ पाएगा. नहीं, जैसे कि अतुल जी ने पूछा, ask for need for boosters. Actually, if you see, it is not possible to catch up with the variants, and it is not possible to catch up with the natural spread of infection in the community, particularly in a dense country like India. So we will always be one step behind with the vaccine, with the boosters. So as I said, you detect one, there are 30 undetected. So it has already, by the time you think of a booster, and as of today, we don't have any booster which has been evaluated properly, just on 8 or 10 mice. And whatever the boosters, the subvariants are, you call them subvariants, so that they will give the natural immunity faster than any implementation of mass vaccinations. So we should stop chasing the boosters, and we should stop chasing the virus as on today. We'll never be able to catch up. So that is it's just like chasing a deer in the forest. It will always run faster.
Thank you very much, Dr. Banerjee. Now, my next question goes to Dr. Sanjay Rai. Say just one calendar year 2020 followed by next calendar year like 2021, what has been the learning the India coped up and we brought in terms of like how do we deal with a massive problem like a pandemic of COVID, in terms of like our ability to create awareness, our ability to develop quick turnaround on diagnostic, followed by the treatment choices and improving like outcomes and meaningfully addressing that access. And last but not the least, how did we leverage in terms of using the technology?
Atul, with your permission, we have the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. We have the Missile Man of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And you have the Ideal Man of India, Dr. Pandav, sitting in front of you. He is the vaccine coordinator man of India and savior of many children. But कई बच्चों को इन्होंने बताया जान से. Sanjay.
But how? बताया?
आप बताएंगे ना.
That I recommended that there is no need to vaccinate children. So, okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Namaskar. First of all, I would like to thank organizer, especially Dr. Sudeep Srivastava, for giving this opportunity to share this special occasion with all of you. Your question, how our country dealt with COVID pandemic.
Start point by point, like the first challenge is to deal with in a pandemic, like create a right kind of like awareness.
So for awareness, See, the first time this COVID was reported in Wuhan in December 2019. In India, the first case on 30th of January 2020, 3 cases, all 3 imported cases from the Wuhan. They were residents from the Kerala. Then next case in the March 2020. On 22nd March, Prime Minister, 22nd March 2020, Prime Minister declared this one-day curfew. The name was, no, not lockdown. Lockdown was from the 25th of March 2020, day curfew. And that was, so that created a lot of awareness among general public, everyone, almost entire country participated. During evening tower, we also celebrated this with ringing bells, etc. Thali and so for creating awareness, that was one of the best strategy I can say. Then on 24th March, after this address to nation, lockdown was implemented from midnight, that is 25th of March 2020. And that time the total number of cases were hardly less than 600 total number of cases in this country. But gradually, even, and that lockdown was very strict lockdown, complete, just like a curfew for entire country. And then from this lockdown, but cases see gradually increases from 20-30 per day to 1 lakh per day in September 2020. So no doubt for this awareness, even this lockdown also generated awareness, but at the cost of, huge cost of many other things, especially livelihood. Then your next question was related to, so awareness level was very high, and every media, print media, electronic media, all participated in creating awareness. So awareness level was very high, not only in this country, almost in the entire world.
So the second part of question is that we call it, say, middle income countries or resource limited country, and we were clueless, what is this virus, and then forget about like diagnostic. How did we respond as a country in terms of like with a quick turnaround, developing diagnostic and access to diagnostic?
Yeah, that was marvelous, I can say. See, when this lockdown was implemented on 25th of March 2020, almost all PPE kit, even your mask, that time we imported from all this from your China. Currently, we are supplying to even other countries also. Almost 100% mask that was imported mask, 100% your PPE kit was imported. So we prepared ourselves. So we utilized this disaster into opportunity, definitely. That was a positive aspect. The negative aspect was also there, like I mentioned, livelihood. That suffered a lot. And because of lack of knowledge, most probably, we implemented this. But if you go back and if you analyze this, we can say that we that provided some time to prepare ourselves to manage this pandemic, that lockdown. For that purpose, that was okay. But even there was a presentation that through lockdown we are going to eliminate this. So if that was the objective, that was not the right objective.
Okay, so awareness means it was not only creating the awareness about the disease, it was awareness about like distancing, using mask, frequent head wash, or using hand hygienes. So that was I think significant achievement or behavior demonstrated in our country.
No doubt, the behavior change, these are the way to change your behavior through using various mass media campaign, and that was successful, like using mask, etc. But now we know there are publications. We consider this, all these research, especially systematic analysis and meta-analysis, one of the best evidence. And they show that all these are not preventing infection. So even like, even we are recommending COVID-appropriate behavior. Now we know that these are not preventing your, they are just slowing down your pace of spread. That's all. See, in our country, even after this lockdown, strict lockdown, everybody was inside house. Nobody was out of their house. What happened? From few cases to we reached to 1 lakh cases.
Yeah.
So definitely that was awareness creation was good.
Yeah, one is a disease profile and disease progression, followed by like how did we react as a community, as a fraternity. I think we did a fabulous job. Diagnostic industry also, I think they showed up very well, and they made access to diagnostic kit.
All diagnostic
in
kit,
terms of like the volumes as well as that affordability, it was very meaningfully addressed. The next question comes like, how was that access and speed to develop the vaccines by India?
See, we have our one indigenous vaccine, that is the
Yes,
Covaxin.
overall. Universal vaccines.
So currently there are 37 vaccines approved by various regulatory authorities all over the world. More than 280 vaccines are in the different phases of the development as of now for one disease, that is COVID. And I agree with Dr. Amitabh Banerjee. He said that almost we are in the endemic phase. So we can say goodbye to this, but still, because of some commercial interest, I can say, they see the hope for next 10 years or 20 years in the COVID. And why 280 vaccines are the different phases of development only for the COVID? For all other diseases, see, we have very good vaccine for measles. We have only one vaccine. Almost this vaccine is more than 95% effective. Single dose may provide lifelong immunity. We have very good vaccine for polio. And vaccine play very important role in polio elimination. Smallpox eradication. We have eradicated smallpox. Very important tool. Currently, there are 37 vaccines. We are using already approved vaccine 37 for one disease. They are using different platform. Some are using whole virion killed, some are using messenger RNA, some are using DNA, some are using, and there are few vaccines, completely new vaccine. We don't know the long-term impact of these vaccines. And now we are recommending cocktail. Okay, you have taken this vaccine, take another vaccine. So you will never know what is the right impact of these vaccines, what is the wrong impact of these vaccines. So for science, definitely this type of activities we cannot allow, and this is very unfortunate for the part of science. Thank you very much.
I'm saying like looking at the two different perspectives. One is the speed at which the vaccines are developed, I think had been globally unprecedented. No vaccine have ever been developed at such a short notice. So the scientists worldwide as well as in India, number two, ability or capacity to provide access. Third is ability to provide affordability to the government. And I think most patients like receive vaccines free of cost in our country, which is a huge achievement. Now the next thing comes like after diagnosis or prevention, I'll take my question to Dr. Amitabh, that there had been a quick evolution in terms of various treatment choices for COVID. How did we respond globally as well as in India, especially like I'm talking Indian context? What was our speed? What kind of like treatment options? We have remdesivir, and is it a treatment of choice? Because parallelly when we see like when we use more of any innovative treatment available to us, we also subsequently see the side effects. So can we weigh today between the benefits and risk associated with the treatment options available for COVID-19? Dr. Amitabh Banerjee.
Thank you, Mr. Atul. This is a very good questions, and particularly in the context of speed. So the speed has been brilliant in this pandemic. The science has been brilliant in this pandemic. But there is a saying that speed thrills, but it can kill also. So unfortunately, we have been going, and now I would like to use some chess terms as requested by Dr. Pandav. Like we had a very new and very fascinated with the new technology. Definitely, it was a brilliant mRNA technology, rapid and other things. But that became the queen, and we were focused in the chessboard only on the queen and promoting the queen. But in the chess, there are other pieces. There are different pawns. There are different pieces. And sometimes losing too many pieces, even if you have the queen, overall public health can suffer. And particularly this happened in our country. We neglected tuberculosis detection, went down by 40%. And now we are going to face the rebound tuberculosis. Similar phenomena we are having with the neglect of measles vaccination. We are going to face the problem with measles vaccination. So just a tunnel vision with only one vaccine. And another problem with this speed of vaccination and speed of mass vaccination, everybody got fascinated with it. The policymakers, the advisors, the people who had been behind the vaccine, naturally, for them, it was definitely a very exciting thing. But in that excitement, we have to see, we did not use the art of medicine to calibrate, to see who require the vaccine, and like we rolled out to even young and healthy people, which was particular the world. In fact, we are not as bad as some of the developed countries like America. They are going down to children as young as 6 months. So this is something which was the downside of it, because these people were never at risk of severe disease or death. And the vaccine is really new, rolled out in record time, and nobody knows what would be the long-term side effects. Already there are some concerning reports from developed countries from hard data that there have been rise in myocarditis cases and other things, particularly in young people. So this can be a cause of concern. And particularly in our country, we are a very vast country, 140 crores. We have vast tribal areas, rural areas, remote areas where there are no health infrastructure. So rolling out such vaccine, it would have a very compromised adverse events reporting system, given a poor infrastructure. Going with such mass scale vaccine program and catching the adverse events is a challenge even today. And it is just like having a super fast train and trying to run it on very old rickety tracks. So this is a learning lesson for us. We have to overall improve the health system. We have overall, and another learning lesson is this vaccination and COVID. We have got very good developed this digital technology that in real time, every 24 hours, we are getting the number of cases, number of hospitalizations, number of deaths. We should use this technology to expand it to actually other disease burdens. Like we have got dengue cases. I was seeing since October 2022, we do not have the data on the website of update of dengue. And dengue definitely is a more serious problem in our country than COVID, particularly in young people. Similarly, for other typhoid and other diarrheal diseases, we are losing more than 2,000 young children every day. We are losing more than 2,000 people to tuberculosis. So again, like a chessboard, we should see the whole board, not only see one piece on the board, that is COVID and COVID vaccine. So the technology has been very good. And again, another thing that so much fascination with the vaccine by whatever the scientists who developed it is natural, and by the manufacturers, that we downplayed the natural immunity also, particularly in a dense country like India. After the second wave, 70% of our population had natural infection, and 80% of our children, young people, had natural infection before the rollout of vaccine in children. So for them, we could have calibrated, we could have waited for the rolling out the vaccine for them. And it would have also given us a control group, because now there is a lot of concerns and lot of claims and counter claims that the long COVID is causing certain heart problems or vaccine is causing. So with this, we should, as I said, the science has been lopsided. We should have seen the whole picture, which is country specific. In our country is not same as other countries. We have a very high dense where the natural infection spreads very fast, and similarly the lockdown and other things doesn't work in our country because our homes are more congested than our workplaces. So if you lock down, close business, close schools, and that perhaps accounted for very fast spread of infection in our country. So I think we have to take a more wider perspective in future. Thank you.
Completely agree. Now my next question goes to Dr. Chandrakanta Panda. We learned a lot of things, like whatever has happened. We learned something like we showed up tremendous amount of speed, maybe say speed thrills, but it can also kill. But what had been the other positive side, which is besides COVID, infection, mortality, morbidity? That's one part of this. Did we learn something else in terms of using more of digitization, generating more of digital medical records, teleconsultation, or ability to view more patient from a distance or maybe from your home? So did we learn something, or is it going to create a new hope, a new way of looking at creating a digital infrastructure to deal with a massive pandemic disease like COVID, which can be applied for many other diseases?
शुक्रिया। आज के सभागृह में दो वीर पहुँचे हैं। डॉक्टर आर के श्रीवास्तव हमारे गुरु है, सर आपका स्वागत है, डायरेक्टर जनरल ऑफ हेल्थ सर्विसेज। और एक व्यक्ति है जो हमसे बहुत दूर भागते हैं, उनका नाम है धनंजय कुमार। ही इज़ अ मीडिया मैन। एंड स्वदीप, व्हेन आई वाज लुकिंग फॉर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर दिस, स्वदीप मैन, आपके मैगजीन आपके पास भी नहीं होगा, मेरे पास है। This was the second National Health Writers Communication Convention, which was held at India International Center on 23rd to 25th, 2009. आपके पास है? मेरे पास है। I'll answer your question, sir, most certainly. उसके पहले आपकी वैक्सीन की बात चल रही थी, संजय, डॉक्टर संजय से 39 vaccines, 37, and 200 plus are in the making.
Yeah.
So actually, pandemic of COVID-19 पीछे रह गया, अभी pandemic of vaccine production शुरू हो गई। हमें एक बड़ी गर्व की बात है कि हमारे देश में हमने कोवैक्सीन बनाया। एंड डॉक्टर बलराम भार्गव ने बड़ी अच्छी किताब लिखी, आपने शायद पढ़ी होगी, वेरी 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 गुड बुक। सो वन इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज इंडियाज technical ability to produce vaccine at a very short notice. In life, I always consider every disaster as an opportunity of learning, every disaster. तो सदीप, आपकी और मेरी मुलाकात हुई थी 2011 में बैंकॉक में, when there was a Asian Nutrition Congress. तो आपकी टीम को मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ, जो इसके पीछे बैक स्टेज भी काफ़ी लोग काम कर रहे हैं। Before I start and participate in any public program, I say my gratitude to COVID-19 warriors. Today we heard from Dr. Vinay Agarwal, 2,000 doctors have sacrificed their lives. It reminds me of an English poem, Charge of the Light Brigade. Does anybody know this poem, Charge of the Light Brigade? Into the valley of death rode the 600. नहीं पता, गूगल में देखो, लॉर्ड टेनिसन। उनको पता था कि जिस काम में जहाँ काम कर रहे हो कि उनका मौत के साथ उनका रिश्ता होने वाला था। सबसे पहले ग्रैटिट्यूड टू देम। एंड डॉक्टर विनय अग्रवाल आल्सो मेंशन दैट व्हाट इज द गवर्नमेंट डूइंग अबाउट दिस। स्वदीप, वन इम्पॉर्टेंट रिकमेंडेशन टू द गवर्नमेंट, मैडम आ रही शाम को, ये लोग चले गए, गुजर गए, उनके लिए भारत सरकार ने क्या कर रहा है, क्या किया और क्या करना बाकी है। वन इम्पॉर्टेंट रिकमेंडेशन। Second, I always thank the armed forces. Atul, we sleep at night peacefully because they are awake 24 hours. And third, मैं गुरु को याद देता हूँ। गुरु ब्रह्मा, गुरु विष्णु, गुरु देवो महेश्वरा, गुरु साक्षात परब्रह्म, तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। धनंजय हमारे गुरु है, डॉक्टर श्रीवास्तव हमारे गुरु है, आप हमारे गुरु है, आप है, स्वदीप है, सभी लोग गुरु है। तो आपके सवाल की बात यह है कि हमने क्या सीखा, क्या सीखा। In initial days we thought COVID was a bane, but it became that it's a boon. It's a boon. Actually, if you, on the 5th of June 2020, on the CNBC, I was interviewed by Shirin Bahan with Dr. Cardiologist का क्या नाम है? Trehan. I would very strongly recommend you to see that interview, not that I'm promoting myself. Dr. Trehan, Dr. Pandav, CNBC. My strong opinion even now, India and the world has given an exaggerated response to COVID-19. Exaggerated. This is the 20th pandemic in the human history, 20th. मुझे पता नहीं कि आपने इसको कितना भाव दिया. Not required. It was an exaggerated response. And what have you learned? What have you learned is the following. Shortage of radiologists. So the telemedicine has evolved as a very important thing. I don't know how many, is there anybody from radiology here? कोई है radiologist? चलो कोई बात नहीं. There is a shortage of radiologists, so telemedicine emerged as a very important contribution, very important. Then, what are the other fields? Big data analysis. इतना सारा information है, हमारे पहले speaker ने बोला, उसका कुछ करना चाहिए. Big data analysis, BDA, number 2. Number 3, machine learning, which is going into the area of cognitive sciences, machine learning. Number 4, we are re-looking at the healthcare. I thought a lot, Pradeep, when you gave me the title of this today's presentation, reinventing healthcare. अरे पहले healthcare थी क्या नहीं? आप क्या reinvent कर रहे हैं? The condition of primary healthcare, I said in my interview, is very pathetic, very pathetic. तो कहाँ reinvention है? था ही नहीं तो उसको क्या reinvent कर रहे हैं? एक बात जरूर हुई है, जिंदगी में हिंदुस्तान में हेल्थ पॉलिसी के ऊपर बिल्कुल ध्यान नहीं था. इट वॉज अ वेरी वेरी लो प्रायोरिटी. कोविड-19 से लोग उसके बारे में सोचने लगे. हमारे देश के नेता आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी was personally monitoring the progress with COVID-19. I also made a mention in that interview, Dr. Trian, Dr. Pandav, CNBC, 5th January 2020, who were the advisor to the Prime Minister? Cardiologist, cardiothoracic surgeon, gastroenterologist, orthopedic surgeon, obs-gynae. Where were the public health people? Epidemiologists, behavioral change specialists, management. कहाँ थे वो लोग? So I gave an example of classical case. I told them a story that we needed rabbits to run the race and win it. They asked the fish. Fish is very good in swimming, but not in running. So ये बहुत बड़ी गलती है. I think, I don't know, so Dr. Srivastava, I don't know, have they changed or they're still sticking to the same people? I don't think same people. RAB, they're coming, finally. Finally RA. Next is the focus from siloed local health to bring in different disciplines. पहले सिर्फ फोकस था, हम डायबिटीज देखेंगे, हम ब्लड प्रेशर, हाइपरटेंशन देखेंगे, हम सब कैपिटल देखेंगे. Now we are coming together. That's one thing. We are having a broader vision. We got input from the Niti Ayog. From silos, we have moved to interdisciplinary, not multi, not inter, but transdisciplinary. That's a very important learning. Some we cut at the problem is at the center, and we are looking at it together. तो हमसे एक प्रार्थना है, शुरू के समय तो रेगुलेटरी एजेंसी शुड टेक लिटिल रिलैक्स ब्रो. दूसरी बात ये हुई अतुल जी, समुद्र मंथन की कहानी सबको पता है. समुद्र मंथन, उसमें 14 रत्न आए थे, तो हमारे भी 14 रत्न है. उसकी बात मैं बाद में बता दूंगा. बट lot of new things have happened as a result of COVID-19. To sum up, radiologists के बदले we got a telemedicine, we got a big data analysis, machine learning. The primary health care is getting more attention, and health continues to be an important part of the policy. 7th April is a World Health Day, and the theme here this year is Health for All. So it's a good opportunity. और हिंदुस्तान ने दुनिया को बता दिया, the resilience and the innovation that was demonstrated by India was impeccable. मेरा देश विश्वगुरु है, मेरा देश विश्वगुरु है. स्वामी विवेकानंद ने कहा था 1897 में, 50 साल के बाद मेरा देश आज़ाद होगा. 97 plus 50, 1947. And he said, in the 21st century, मेरा देश विश्वगुरु है. Today, we should be all proud. भारत विश्वगुरु है, G20 के हम प्रेसिडेंट हैं. तो स्वामी जी ने कहा वो आज सच हो रहा है. तो अतुल जी, मैं अभी शांत भाषा में बात कर रहा हूँ, गुस्सा आएगा तो बहुत जोर से चिल्लाऊंगा। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, शुक्रिया, धन्यवाद अतुल।
Thank you very much, Dr. Panda. So I think, thank you very much for a very nice orientation in terms of, despite of like the other side of the story, there has been humongous learning. There is a humongous in terms of like demonstration of our capabilities, capacities, not only for India, but I think for the rest of the world as well. So I'll request Dr. Banerjee if he can sum up in terms of our learnings or our contribution, which is a better side like out of like this chaos of COVID-19 pandemic.
So I would just like to give a take-home message. As Dr. Pandav said, we have demonstrated capability, technological capability. Now we are supposed to be Vishwa Gurus. So this communicable disease control and pandemic control and public health leadership, we have to take on the mantle of public health leadership. We have got enough resources in our country. We have got doctors and public health specialists who have got far more experience of handling communicable disease since early in their career. So what thing in this I found not very digestible was that we were blindly following the Western experts, whether it is WHO, CDC or Anthony Fauci. So it's high time that they should learn from us, not we from them. In fact, I had an informal discussion with the professor of Stanford University. She was very impressed with our insights into communicable disease. So it's high time we take on the leadership in pandemic control and guidelines, which should originate from India rather from the West. Thank you.
Agree, thank you very much. And Dr. Sanjay Rai, can you sum up in terms of like what has been the other side in terms of like demonstrating our capacity, capabilities, and what kind of like way forward do you recommend like?
Okay, my recommendation in last 3 years, we have generated lot of evidence to the best of my knowledge and recall. COVID-19, SARS coronavirus 2 and COVID vaccination, unprecedented research in all these fields, unprecedented evidences we have generated. So it's time to use all these evidences and park all the assumptions. Even today, we are assuming most probably this will happen. In last 3 years, we have generated a lot of evidences. So kindly use all these evidences. One is, like Dr. Banerjee mentioned about the natural infections. What is the strength of natural infection? We know both natural infection provide immunity, vaccine provide immunity, the duration of immunity from the natural infection, from the vaccines. So we have generated a lot of evidences. So it's time to use these evidences. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much to all the esteemed panelists for your wonderful like orientation.
Can I say my thing?
Sure, sure. Dr. Panda, over to you.
What I learned from COVID-19 is Samudra Manthan. भगवान विष्णु के 10 अवतार है, मत्स्य कूर्म वराह वगैरह वगैरह। तो इस कोविड-19 में 14 रत्न है, 14 रत्न। फर्स्ट वाज हलाल, विष था, 13 वाज द धन्वंतरी, 14 वाज अमृत। तो इसने हमें काफ़ी सारी चीज़ सिखाई है। इसके लिए मैं एक ही चीज़ कर रहा हूँ, द गुड थिंग अबाउट द पास्ट इट इज़ ओवर, बट आई थिंक माई ओनली रिकमेंडेशन टू ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज प्लीज स्टार्ट इंडियन पब्लिक हेल्थ सर्विस, IPHS को सुनिए। उसको मेरा एक ही होगा, get the right people to advise you independently, technically, with their focus on the area of their expertise, that is public health. Namaskar.
Thank you very, very much. So we are done. Thank you very, very much. Yeah.
Thank you.